Before the police confirmed what happened in Kaduna, they first said it did not happen. That delay is important, and it may be more serious than many people realize. On a Sunday, worshippers went to church in a rural part of Kaduna State. Later, reports came out that gunmen moved from one church to another and abducted a large number of people. The reports were quickly dismissed. The public was told the story was not true. But days later, the police came back to say the incident actually happened. This is not a small issue. We are talking about a mass abduction involving entire families from places people consider safe. Yet, the first response was denial, not action. When a government or security agency denies a serious incident like this, it raises an important question. If something this big can be denied at first, what does that mean for trust, for response time, and for the safety of ordinary people? This video is not just about what happened in Kaduna. It is about how authorities respond in moments of crisis, and what happens when that response comes late. So the key question we need to ask is this: what does the initial denial of this incident tell us about how insecurity is being handled in Nigeria today? Here's what we can confirm from available reports. The incident happened in Kaduna local government area of Kaduna State, in a community called Kurmanwali village. On a Sunday, gunmen entered the area and moved from one church to another during worship. At the end of the attack, at least 177 worshippers were abducted. Initial reports from the media said the attack had taken place, but both the government and the police first denied that any such incident happened. They accused the media of spreading false information. Later, the police reviewed the situation. On Tuesday, the force public relations officer, Benjamin Hundeyin, confirmed that the attack did happen. He said the Inspector General of Police had deployed tactical units to the area to begin rescue efforts. After this confirmation, the Adara Development Association, which represents the local community in Kaduna, released a list of the abducted persons. The list showed that entire families were taken, with some families losing more than 10 members at once. These are the confirmed facts as of now. Everything beyond this point requires careful analysis. To understand this situation properly, we need to look at when things happened, not just what happened. First, the attack itself took place on a Sunday, when worshippers were gathered in churches in Kurmanwali village, Kaduna local government area. After the incident, reports began to come out that a large number of people had been abducted. These reports spread quickly, especially because of how serious the claims were. However, soon after those reports appeared, government authorities and the police denied that any attack had taken place. The public was told that the information being shared was misleading. This denial did not last. A few days later, on Tuesday, the police came out with a different position. The force spokesperson confirmed that the incident had indeed happened. It was only after this confirmation that tactical units were officially deployed to the area. Following that confirmation, the local community, through the Adara Development Association, released the names of those who were abducted. This order of events is important. In security matters, time matters. Early acknowledgement often leads to faster response. Delays, whether intentional or not, can affect rescue efforts, public trust, and the confidence of communities. This timeline shows that action came after confirmation, not immediately after the incident itself. That detail is key to understanding the deeper issues behind this story. At first glance, this story looks like another case of kidnapping in a rural part of Nigeria. But when you look closely, it becomes clear that this incident is about more than just the abduction itself. The real issue here is how authorities respond when citizens are under threat. In this case, reports of a serious attack came out, but the first official response was denial. Only later, after public pressure and further checks, did confirmation and action follow. This raises a deeper concern. Security is not only about soldiers and police on the ground. It is also about early acknowledgement, clear communication, and quick decision-making. When these are missing or delayed, even a strong security response can come too late. This situation shows a gap between what communities experience and what authorities initially accept as reality. That gap creates confusion, weakens trust, and slows down response. So the key problem is not just that an attack happened. The bigger issue is that the system reacted slowly to a serious warning. And when systems react slowly, the people who suffer first are ordinary citizens. To fully understand this situation, we need to look at who is affected and how. First are the victims and their families. These are people who went to church and did not return home. In many cases, entire families were taken at once. The emotional and psychological impact on these families and their community is severe. Next is the local community. When an attack of this size happens, it creates fear and uncertainty. People begin to question whether they are protected and whether their concerns will be taken seriously. Then there are the security agencies. When an incident is first denied and later confirmed, it affects public confidence in security information. Even if action later follows, trust may already be damaged. The state and federal authorities are also affected. Silence or delayed response during a crisis sends a message, whether intended or not. People begin to wonder who is responsible and who is in charge when emergencies happen. Finally, there are the armed groups behind such attacks. Without saying much, incidents like this give them psychological advantage. They show that they can strike and create confusion before a response comes. In situations like this, power is not only about force. It is also about who controls information, who speaks early, and who stays silent. Beyond what was reported and later confirmed, there are important things that were not clearly explained. One major gap is why the incident was first denied. There has been no detailed explanation of what information was available at the time or why it was considered incorrect. Another issue is the delay in official communication. There was no early warning, no early acknowledgement, and no clear message to calm the affected communities while facts were being verified. We also did not hear much about local intelligence or early alerts. There is little information on whether warning signs existed before the attack, or if local reports were acted upon quickly. In addition, there has been limited public discussion about accountability. No one has clearly explained what went wrong in the early stages and how similar situations will be handled differently in the future. These silences matter. In security and governance, what is not said can be just as important as what is said. When questions remain unanswered, trust becomes weaker, and fear fills the gap. This does not mean conclusions should be rushed, but it does mean that clearer explanations are necessary if confidence is to be restored. For many Nigerians, this story goes beyond the numbers and the headlines. It touches on something very basic, the feeling of safety. Places like churches are meant to be safe spaces. When people hear that worshipers were abducted during service, fear spreads quickly, even far from the actual location. Another issue is trust. When serious incidents are first denied and later confirmed, people become unsure of what to believe. Some may stop trusting official statements and rely instead on rumors or social media, which can make situations worse. There's also the issue of response time. Ordinary Nigerians worry that if something happens in their own community, help may not come quickly, or their reports may not be taken seriously at first. For rural communities especially, this fear is stronger. Many already feel distant from government protection. Incidents like this deepen the feeling of being on their own. In the long run, this affects how people live their daily lives. They become more cautious, more fearful, and less confident that the system will protect them when it matters most. As this situation develops, there are a few important things Nigerians should pay attention to. First is rescue efforts. Beyond announcements, people should watch for clear updates on how many victims have been rescued and what progress is being made on the ground. Second is arrests and investigations. Statements are important, but real accountability usually shows through arrests, prosecutions, and clear explanations of what went wrong. Third is the tone of communication from authorities. Do officials become more transparent, or does information remain slow and limited? How government communicates after a crisis matters almost as much as the response itself. Another key sign is support for the affected families and communities. This includes security presence, relief support, and reassurance that steps are being taken to prevent a repeat. Finally, Nigerians should watch for patterns. Does this situation lead to better early response in future incidents, or does the same cycle of denial and late action continue? These signs will tell us whether lessons are being learned or whether this will become just another forgotten case. When we look back at this incident, the most worrying part is not only the number of people abducted. It is the fact that such a serious event was first denied before it was accepted. This case reminds us that insecurity is not just about attacks. It is also about how quickly authorities listen, accept reality, and act when citizens raise alarm. Trust is built when people feel heard early, not after pressure. And once trust is weakened, it is very hard to rebuild. This incident may eventually leave the headlines, but the question it raises will remain. When the next warning comes from a community, will it be taken seriously on time, or will it be denied first? That is the issue Nigerians must continue to pay attention to.